मेरे बुजुर्गों, अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
वालेकुम अस्सलाम।
जिए भुट्टो, जिए आवाम। Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. I'm going to try this. Vive le Bhutto, vive la France, vive le Pakistan. Premièrement, pardonnez-moi, je ne parle pas bien français. Je suis très jolie de visiter la France et avoir l'opportunité de parler avec vous.
Merci.
Je voudrais accueillir avec plaisir de lancer de cette livre, le Benazir Papers. It's been quite a few years since my French lessons, so I beg your forgiveness and understanding if I make some terrible faux pas this evening.
Vous êtes jolie.
Je m'appelle Bilawal Bhutto Sardari. J'ai 800 ans and I am the chairman of the Pakistan People's Party, the largest political party in Pakistan. I'm here today because I believe that the people of France will be interested to hear about mine and my country's experiences. I believe that these experiences, if learnt from, could help stop the world from repeating the same mistakes it's made over and over and over again. We all know Islam. We all know Islam, like all other religions, teaches and preaches peace. However, we are also all aware of the devastation that has been caused by religious fascists masquerading as Muslims. These Islamic fascists want to take us back to the Dark Ages. Despite the audacity of their attacks, the massacres, and the hundreds of thousands of people who've died in the wars that they have provoked, the world does not see them as a serious ideological threat. They are seen as a nuisance, as a ragtag army of cavemen who can be exterminated like bugs through military might, through the force of military might. However, this does not answer the question. Can we have all phones shut off, please? Thank you. However, this does not answer the question. What drives young Muslims from all over the world, from all walks of life, to enlist? Why are thousands of Muslims leaving the West and joining ISIS? Why did young Muslims volunteer to hijack planes and fly them into the Twin Towers? Why did young British Muslims murder their fellow citizens on 7/7? Why would a young French Muslim assassinate his country's heroes on their own soil? How could any mother allow her baby to be used as a bomb in an attempted assassination attempt on Shaheed Mohtarma Benazir Bhutto on October 18th, 2007? Islamic fascism is a relatively new threat to the world. From the Taliban to Al-Qaeda to Boko Haram to ISIS, no matter what the world throws at them, like the legend of Hydra. Why then have our democracies been unable to deliver on all these promises? Every country faces its own challenges. Some are more democratic than others. Some are more equal than others. Some are more just than others. Some are more peaceful than others. However, just because democracy has not yet delivered on all these promises, it does not mean that democracy cannot deliver. We have to pursue reconciliation and unite despite our differences. We have to adapt, evolve, and further strengthen democracy. We have to establish a new global social contract to guarantee the welfare of all people, regardless of race, religion, or nationality. That is why I'm here today. This first volume of the Benazir Papers by former Secretary General, my current political secretary, and Senator Jahangir Badr, is a first-hand account of my mother's struggle for democracy against the Islamic fascist regime of Zia ul-Haq. Reconciliation, my mother's posthumously published manifesto, and Daughter of the East, her biography, articulate clearly the Bhutto's experience of deploying democracy to combat religious fascism in Pakistan. But we are not the only ones. There are Palestinians, Syrians, Egyptians, Libyans, and many, many others who have their own experiences to share. But in order to hear them, we have to listen to the people fighting this menace, not to the religious fascists. I know they call Pakistan the most dangerous country on earth. It's not. It's the bravest country on earth. I know. The world sees Osama bin Laden as the face of Pakistan. But in reality, he wasn't even Pakistani. The true faces of Pakistan are Shaheed Mohtarma Benazir Bhutto, Shaheed Salman Taseer, Shaheed Shehbaz Bhatti, and our Nobel Prize winner Malala Yousafzai. And the vast majority of us who would prefer to die fighting these religious fascists rather than bow before them. Similarly, the true face of Iraq is not just ISIS. The true face of Afghanistan is not just the Taliban. The true face of Gaza is not just Hamas. The true face of Egypt is not Sisi or the Muslim Brotherhood. Just like the true face of France is not the terrorists of Toulouse. And the true face of the United Kingdom is not the 7/7 bombers or James Foley's murderer. The true face of the United States is not Timothy McVeigh or the Boston bombers. I know this challenge seems insurmountable, but the solution is really quite simple. All we have to do is listen to the people, as democracy teaches us, and we shall overcome. It's a tradition in Pakistani politics, or in the Pakistan People's Party, to end our speeches with political slogans. And I'm going to give it a go, and I hope this makes sense in French. Vive la révolution! Vive la liberté! Vive l'égalité! Vive la fraternité! Vive la démocratie! Vive la France! Vive le Pakistan and vive le Bhutto. G.A. Bhutto. 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 Ya Allah, Ya Rasul. Ya Allah, Ya Rasul.
Benzil, benzil.
Ya Allah, Ya Rasul. Ya Allah, Ya Rasul. Jamhuriyat behtareen intakam. Democracy is the best revenge. Thank you very much. Every time one head is decapitated, another two emerge. This threat may be new to the world, but it's not new to me. My mother, Shaheed Mohtarma Benazir Bhutto, was assassinated by religious fascists masquerading as Muslims. This was not the first time she was attacked by religious fascists. In 1988, when she was elected the first female prime minister of the Muslim world, Osama bin Laden funded her opponents and attempted to oust her democratically elected government. When she was re-elected prime minister for a second time, Yusuf Ramzi, the man involved in the first attack on the Twin Towers, him and Mullah Omar tried to assassinate her and failed. Both her brothers, my uncles, were assassinated by religious fascists. Islamic fascists tried to kidnap me when I was 1 year old. Islamic fascism was founded by the opponents of my grandfather, Shaheed Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, as a cover to legitimize their coup, his assassination, and their reign. Over the next 11 years, Pakistan, under the dictator General Zia al-Haq, became the first country to fall to Islamic fascism. The world mistakenly supported this Islamic fascist because of Pakistan's strategic importance in the First Afghan War. While the world stood idly by while my grandfather, Pakistan's first democratically elected prime minister, was overthrown and assassinated, the world ignored Shaheed Mohtarma Benazir Bhutto in the 1990s, when she warned that supplying arms, training and support to the Mujahideen to fight the Soviets had created a Frankenstein monster that would come back to haunt us. The world declared these men freedom fighters and the moral equivalent. These are the words of the President of the United States, Ronald Reagan. The Haqqani network, the then Mujahideen, he called the moral equivalent to the great George Washington. After 9/11, again, the world ignored Shaheed Mohtarma Benazir Bhutto when she warned that we must not run with the hare and hunt with the hound. Supporting dictatorship on the one hand, while preaching democracy with the other, was hypocritical and counterproductive, as it would only strengthen the hand of these tyrants. The dictator the dictator masquerading as the legitimate solution to religious fascists masquerading as Muslims in Pakistan. In her final election campaign and a posthumously published book, Reconciliation, Shaheed Mohtarama Banerjee Bhutto laid out a roadmap to combat religious fascists masquerading as Muslims. Through reconciliation, democracy, and a new Marshall Plan. However, distracted by the Great Recession and exhausted by nearly a decade of wars, the world once again ignored her advice. I am the third generation of Bhutto to challenge religious fascists masquerading as Muslims, and I will not be ignored. Islamic fascism is just one strain of a virus that is the greatest threat to modern civilization since the end of the Cold War. But religious fascism is not limited to the Islamic world. While Islamic fascists dominate the post-9/11 narrative, other forms of religious fascism are equally dangerous. Religious fascists masquerading as Christians murder doctors and children in the United States. Religious fascists masquerading as Jews massacre and subjugate the innocent civilians in Palestine. Religious fascists' most potent weapon is fear. They spread fear through terrorism. They provoke us into unending wars. They scare us into compromising on our ideals, into surrendering our freedoms, and into diverting our resources away from the welfare of the people. Religious fascists infect our democracies with fear, hate, and violence. They weaponize faith, manipulate religion, and terrorize societies to extinguish hope. Why? Why did the Iraqi army take off their uniforms, abandon their American-supplied war machines, abandon their posts, abandon their people, and flee in the face of a ragtag army of religious fascists? It was because the much smaller, less well-equipped ISIS claimed to have God on their side. Therein lies the problem. We don't see their murderous and depraved path to a regressive world as a legitimate ideological threat. The problem is, they don't claim to be the ones offering the utopia at the end of their blood-soaked tunnel. They claim the Quran does, the Torah does, the Bible does. The only one who can prove them wrong is God Himself. We must understand that this is a serious ideological threat to civilization as we know it. Framed in a powerful quasi-religious narrative. This is more dangerous than the threat of communism or simple fascism. The foot soldiers of religious fascism may seem primitive. However, the ideological narrative they propagate has the same ideological potency as any of the world's religions. That may sound frightening, impossible even, for us mere mortals to overcome. How are we going to stop Armageddon? Let me remind you of what President Franklin Roosevelt said during the last Great Depression. and after World War I, but before World War II. We have nothing to fear but fear itself. No matter where the head of this hydra emerges, in Pakistan, Iraq, Syria, France, the United Kingdom, the United States, there is only one antidote to the poison of religious fascism. And that, my friends, is democracy.